The Vedic scriptures advise us repeatedly on the importance of Guru on the spiritual path. And Shree Krishna gives the answer to Arjun in Bhagavad Gita. Tad vidida pranipaten pariprashnena sevaya upadekshyanti te jnanam jnaninas-tattva darshinaha, which means just try to learn the truth by approaching your spiritual master, inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. The self-realized souls can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth. And the absolute truth cannot be understood merely by our own contemplation. The Bhagavatam states, Anyāda vidya yuktasya purushashyatmanivedanam svato nasambhavad anyasya tattvagya jnanado bhaved. The intellect cannot overcome its ignorance simply by its own efforts. There must be some other person, the knower of transcendental reality, who can impart this knowledge. So let's speak with a spiritual activist, a community builder, a walking marathoner, also known as the walking monk, a direct disciple of Srila Prabhupada, His Holiness Bhaktimarg Swami Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
So Maharaj, most of the devotees know you as the walking monk because of your very adventurous walking marathons across Canada and US. Now some of us cannot even fathom following the path you walked on, but I still want some guidance, some teaching that you can give us. What do you want to share with all of us walking with a purpose in life?
The purpose behind the walks is to encourage the walking culture, to get people, off their seats, off their butts, so to speak, and get off the couch and start seeing the world a little bit, and see it from the perspective of, well, it's God's creation, and I'm moving through it, and I can't be attached to anything. That's the idea of pilgrimage, or in Hindi it would be something like parikrama, or something like that. So I had a chance to just mingle and also see the omnipotence of Krishna, to see that he's everywhere in all things and the elements, whether it's good or bad, heat or cold or wind or rain. You learn to kind of get up, get close, get with it, go through it and accept it. It's a matter of learning tolerance, which is part of, goes with my lifestyle. I'm a sannyasi, I'm a swami, and we're supposed to be doing these kind of things. And when you go through the different towns and you meet folks and the media, they kind of, you pick up on that they expect, renunciants or monks to do this type of thing. Yeah. So then they feel you're you're genuine. And there's also oftentimes a feeling that people have this concept that, a monk is coming to town, something good is going to happen.
Yeah, because there's positivity in your aura.
Yeah.
Because I think that's how.
It comes from walking, and I can't take the credit. I have to give the credit to our guru, Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of the Hare Krishna movement, and he would walk every morning. So he inspired us to walking, to take care of your health, so that the body and soul can be together. They can work together.
It really helps in the spiritual.
It does.
Right?
It does. Oh yeah, very much so. Just because you start to see divinity in all things, which is difficult to do in an indoor situation. Everything's kind of man-made, but once you're out there, with all the dualities that are there, it just brings you closer to God, for sure.
It's a really nice reason to go on walking.
Yeah, everyone should do it.
Okay. So
that's the ideal holiday. The ideal, let's say, going for tourism or a retreat is go for a walk by yourself or with someone else, and learn detachment. Learn detachment from the world and learn attachment to the Supreme.
Oh, wow. Very well put, Maharaj. So Maharaj, as you know, everyone associated with this temple, ISKCON Vancouver, is eagerly praying and waiting for the new temple construction to begin. What are your thoughts on constructing new buildings, and more importantly, why we should focus on building new temples?
Well, new temples in general, because spiritualization of the world there's a great need. We become very mundane, and and everything's about materialism, really.
Yes.
It's about trying to look good and everything like that.
Yes.
But our spirit needs to look good. And so temples are needed. If we ask that, somebody asked Prabhupada the question, why do we need so many, temples? Why is it necessary to build new places when there's already so many around?
Yeah.
And his answer was, how many children do you have? And the guy said, about 8. Okay, well, why was there so many children in the world? Why
more?
did you have to have so many kids
Yeah.
yourself? I mean, he was an older person. He could ask that
Yeah.
pose that challenge to somebody younger. And, we live in the Kalyuga. It's a dark time. But there's a lot of selfishness, and as is indicated in the Bhagavad Gita, kama, krodha, lobha, lust and anger and greed. It's very obvious, and self-centeredness. So there's the temples are not just a place for worship, but a place of education, and that's how Srila Prabhupada, with his mastermind, dreamed of what a temple should be. It's not just a place to come and do a little puja and then take off. It means a little bit more than that. It means to come, go for some serious reflection, hear some shastra, some philosophy, take some time for prasadam, food that's offered to the Lord. Take a little time to just be very in the present, in the moment, in goodness, and then share it with others. So we also have classes in the Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, and learning about the lives of great saints like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Sunday school, who can dispute that's so important for getting young boys and girls on the right track, and which will pave the way for the rest of their lives. And just a place where people come and congregate, and people of like-minded consciousness can come and reinforce each other in their spirituality.
And I think that's what Srila Prabhupada kind of wanted to put forward for his devotees, that a temple is not a place where you can just come and just ring bells and go back. It's so much more than that. It's learning, it's education. And that's all of us are following.
Yes, exactly. And, to gain a foothold on what's foundational in life itself. Like most people just have let's say, a folly idea or an incorrect idea about who they are, their identity. They're just thinking, you look in the mirror and this is what I am. No, it is not what you are. This is a covering for your soul. So aham brahmasmi, that means I am spirit. I'm not this body. So if we can get that foundational concept down right and understand it at least philosophically, and if you put it into practice, that's even better. It's called bhakti. Then your life has a better chance of being enriched, of being deep, and you have a shelter when there's challenges, when there's trouble, which seems to come as a concomitant factor of being in this world. Then you have a chance to, if there's some hope, let's put it that way. Everybody needs that.
Everybody needs that.
Yeah.
So we talked about how Prabhupada's guidelines are kind of helping us educate more and more people, and not in a certain way where we kind of forcing a religion on people. It's kind of, we are focusing on education more than anything else.
Yes, it's not a matter of just being religious. And religion comes from a Latin word, if I'm not mistaken. It means to kind of follow, to have some regimen in your life, some rules, and all that's good. Discipline is necessary. But, we have to appreciate what is that we learned from this education that we're talking about. It's about love, loving the Supreme, and from that is the universe and the world in which we live, and an appreciation and gratitude for the earth planet and the elements, all those things, So it's real love, not the romance stuff that people, Bollywood and Hollywood and Schmollywood, whoever else comes along, is trying to portray. It's really much more about the real thing, being in love with that which is greater than me. There's me and there's everything else. So that everything else, which is much greater than me, humbles me. And I should have an appreciation for that which is beyond my own little tiny existence. Some people want to call that the God, the divine, the cosmos, okay, whatever. Just, learn to be humble.
Yeah, and it doesn't come easy.
No, it doesn't come easy, but it comes with experience.
Yes.
You get knocked down, quite a few times, especially when you're kind of young and you got all this energy and you've got hormonal explosions going on everywhere.
I'm the best example of that right now.
Oh, well, okay. Well, it may be. Yeah, it's ego that needs to be knocked around.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Maharaj. So, you recently led 2 very enlivening workshops. One was 9 devotions and the other was Kirtan standards here at New Gokul Dham. And I can personally vouch for Kirtan standards because it was kind of eye-opening and it made me see Kirtans in a very new perspective. Mm-hmm. And my question to you is, why such workshops are required?
Well, just like we were talking about the need to get things in proper perspective, to get, first of all, our true identity. I'm a little spark of life. That's what my Atma or my soul is. And when we engage in kirtan or chanting and we approach it in the right way, it means we're finally coming to terms with ourselves. That's all. Like, I realize I'm a spirit and my purpose in life is to make a contribution through service. Service to God, service to humanity, and, all the other life forms that are there that come along my way. And so service is the sort of prime function of the Atma, the soul. When we look at what are the qualities of, say, like snow.
Yeah.
It's white, it's pure, it's clean, so it's cold, all those things. And what are the quality of like a hot chili pepper from Central America? It's hot and it causes burn and so on. And so what are the qualities of just almost anything? You give us an example. You look at what is its dharma, And so when we look at what is the purpose of all of us, especially as human beings, our role is to engage in service to others. That is our ultimate dharma, to give, not to take. And of course, at this time of the year, or almost any time of the year, people are into the mood of giving.
Giving,
yeah. Yeah, and because it makes you feel light and bright.
Exactly, yeah. And I think kirtans are a very good way to kind of bring the whole community together, because otherwise we're all so busy in our own lives.
Yes.
You call it ego, you call it work pressure, workload, anything, but we are so we have walls in front of us and we don't want to share. But by singing to the Lord, we kind of open ourselves up to others and to the Lord. That's a really nice thing.
Usually song is an expression of joy.
Joy.
We have to put aside a lot of contemporary music genres because a lot of them have to do with hankering and lamenting, or desire and hate.
Oh yes.
That's really encompasses most of the
and
contemporary
I think they're very
music.
Passionate as well. Songs are passionate in general.
Right.
They are.
But telling a good old story, that's kind of like the failure of a lot of modern type music. It's just it falls short from just telling stories that offer hope and a feeling of freedom and joy.
Yes.
In fact, recently I came upon the song "Happy" by Pharrell Williams.
Oh yeah.
It's so good.
It makes you want to dance, right?
Yes. And when you sing, when you dance, and when you want to share and dance with others, that's an expression you're really happy. And I think we always have to keep in mind that in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna's talking about the expression that comes from being spiritual. And he puts it like this: Susukam karatum avyayam. Karatum refers to action. Action that is susukam, happily expressed.
Oh, okay.
So, and we need that just to balance off what some people consider drudgery or monotony of being in this world. We need to have some time where we can release our valves of pressure and come to terms with just being a natural, happy,
person.
living entity.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
So Maharaj, tell us, like, I've seen you write so many times in temple, and I was always kind of inspired. What do you write in that notebook, and how do you come up with such great poetry? So tell us about your love for writing, being spiritually creative.
Well, one thing I do on a daily basis, I have a daily blog, and under the title The Walking Monk, and I do that to put a closure to the previous day. I like to highlight what happened to me, occurred to me on that day prior, and what are the lessons that I learned. And I like to also share with others who are recipients of the information, which will inspire, right? So that's one thing. And the poetry, well, because of the pandemic, I've not been able to express myself artistically in the normal way. I write dramas, so dramas I can't do these days. So we've produced 2 short films now, and on a pretty regular basis I write poetry. Okay. And I was thinking that this is a way to express it's a channel for artistic expression. And I'd like to put something out there just to make people encourage them to be more introspective. Like if I know someone who's passed away, I'll do like some kind of eulogy, and sum up what that person has contributed in the world. Or I wrote a poem about trees, just what they are and what they do for us. It's more secular, but mostly I stick to spiritual topics, and it's just to get people on a track where we really belong,
Yeah, and everything you write is like, I've read quite a few of them, and I find them very thought-provoking. They're very simple. Like you said, you write about trees. They're very simple, but at the same time, they're very, very thought-provoking. Like in this recent poem you composed, you wrote, do your dharma, avoid the karma. And you also wrote, when we act as expected, it's called dharma. So, but it was so thought-provoking that I had a immediate question, that in this Kalyuga, how do you know if the expectations are according to the Vedas and not selfish? Like, how do you know that dharma is according to the Vedas? Those expectations are according to the Vedas.
Well, when you study the Bhagavad Gita and become a sincere student of the text, you learn a lot about the triguna, the 3 energies, and we're all influenced by them. So the more you get familiar with them, the more you can appreciate, or let's say, learn of what is your dharma in life, what's your contribution, according to the 3 energies, which is sattvagun, rajagun, tamagun. Let's put it in simple English terms. Thoughtfulness for goodness, and then there's restlessness, and then there's also darkness. Yeah. And when you figure out what is your prominent nature, then it can determine what you can do in life. What becomes very obvious. And usually for people, they do things that make them the happiest.
Yeah.
That determines kind of like what is your career, or what we call varna. And then there's dharma. Dharma also refers to your psychophysical nature. You've got to match your psychophysical self to the things that you do.
And how do people, how does one know that they're matching in the right way?
Well, again, a big determining factor is you do what makes you happy. Okay, so that's one thing. Another way to find out is that astrology can be a good source, sometimes astrological, consultation. And parents, they know you better than you know yourself a lot of times, even though you're like an upstart, the adolescent will say, you don't know me, you don't understand me. Okay. So those are some ways, and you know intuitively yourself, what it is that where you get the greatest satisfaction. So those are some of the determining factors.
But isn't this satisfaction also leading us towards mode of goodness?
Is it? Sure. Goodness is where you want to be for the most part.
Sattvagun.
Yeah, sattvagun. But all play a role. Like say sleeping ignorance. Which is something like you might consider a waste of time, especially if you're in there too long.
Yeah.
A lot reclining.
Yeah.
So much gets done. But what about Rajagun, or the mode of passion, that energy? If we don't have it, we won't have children.
Oh yes, yeah.
If we don't have Rajas in your community, you won't have buildings. And so it's not that everyone should just be a sattvic person and just think and be holy and meditate and pray for everybody. That's important. But if you ask everyone to do that, everything will fall apart.
Yes.
So there has to be a nice balance of all these
All the
energies
gunas.
flowing together, mixing together like a nice trail mix.
Yes. Wow. So very, very rightly portrayed, Maharaj. And with this very enriching answer, I would like to stop our conversation and put a prayer out there that ISKCON Vancouver receives more such pleasures of having you here, guiding us and showing us the way. My very humble obeisances to you, Maharaj.
Oh, thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Jai.